all connected through the NSA. Complete transmission through the NSA. Suspending your rights for the duration of the permanent war.
Yeah, and I guess this is a good transition. We have some good articles about the NSA spying. I talked a little bit about that in the last program. I think this is something that is so important because it's not talked about anymore. I didn't even know who was playing it in the Super Bowl this weekend because I've been so focused on this. And I know for a lot of people that's, it's heresy. How could you not know who's playing in the Super Bowl? Well,
it's the San Francisco 49ers versus Baltimore Ravens.
Okay, now that we have that on the record. But the point is that maybe I don't know who's playing in the Super Bowl, but I've been trying to express on this program and others. I did a radio interview with my good friend Carl Knox on CJLO 1690 AM, where I started in Montreal, my first radio station where I started this program. I was on with him on Friday, and we talked a lot about the NSA and all the spying that is going on now in the United States of our domestic communications, back and forth. This Skype conversation, per the Patriot Act, per the FISA Act, per all of that, is being indexed and recorded for the United States government. Now, of course, that does not mean that somebody is listening, but if they are, they can send me an email, yael@live.ca, and tell me if they like the show. That doesn't mean that someone is listening, but it does mean that it is being indexed, and it could be used sometime in the future to perhaps come after me or even you, Christopher Redfield, if you want to run for Congress. Who knows?
Right. No, that's a great point, because I think the vastness of how much communication is going on kind of makes people think that they're in the safe zone, because it's impossible for them to be listening in on me right now. But as long as it's being recorded, and if they ever decide to do an investigation on you, your person, then they can they're going to look you up. Just like you said, the files are indexed, and they will find you, and they can look at all of your history, all of the communications that you're talking about. So we cannot think that because there's such a vast amount of communication that we can hide in the midst of it.
But Chris, we're not doing anything wrong.
No. I mean, that's true too. This is a free country. It is freer than most, and we shouldn't settle for freer than most. We should be striving for a completely free society. Excuse me. But yeah, we shouldn't have to worry about being spied on. You're right.
Now, I just want to give a segue here, because there's an interesting article on Slate. Do you read Slate by any chance?
Not very frequently.
Well, Slate is it used to be a very hip website. It had a lot about culture and trying to mix it in. It was a very early version of BuzzFeed, you can say. And it was bought up by the Washington Post, so it became very establishment, shall we say. But they do have some good reporters. David Weigel is a very good one. He talks a lot about politics, more of a libertarian voice. That's very good. But there's a great article that I found just from, I believe, last week called "Meet the American Company Helping Governments Spy on Billions of Communications." And this article, it is in the show notes at libertyinexile.com. You'll see it right there under all the links. It'll probably be under internets. It has an interesting profile of this company called Verint. Verint is headquartered in Melville, New York. Unfortunately, it's Melville. Sorry, Melanie. What we're looking at here is a company that basically sells all the spy and communication equipment to the National Security Agency. Now, they have very vast networks of monitoring centers, as they call them, which, quote, enable the interception, monitoring, and analysis of target and mass communications over virtually any network, for 1995. And really what we're looking at here is just symptomatic of this entire military-industrial spy NSA complex that we have in this nation. And I was in Washington just last week, and you can see it from all these buildings and infrastructure and all the money that is poured into Washington. There are companies and people who profit immensely from all of these government programs which take away rights, liberties, and freedoms of people all across this country. And I don't know exactly what you call it. You can call it cronyism, which is, sort of the economic view. Chris Redfield can inform us a little bit more about that. Or you can call it what I call it corporatism. I call it the system where you have elite groups of people that have amassed great control of society, of industry, of government, of rulemaking, and they've really tilted the game in their own direction. And that is really to the detriment of the majority. I don't know. That's sort of my view. What do you think there, Sir Redfield?
No, I think you're spot on. It's this corporatism. Maybe we can think about it in a way, in a phrase where you say, we're not sure where corporations end and where governments begin. And yeah, you're right. Some people call it, or the economists, they refer to it as cronyism, or a little bit older phrase, rent seeking. And it's the idea, and just like you said, now that there are businesses providing these services to government, now it is these businesses that have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo so that they can maintain their revenue streams. So they don't want the laws to change in a way that's going to adversely affect them. So regardless of what the public, how the law affects the public, it's in the business's interest to lobby to make sure that those laws remain in place.
Visit libertyinexile.com.